Hello, big beautiful world. Today, you know how, well, if any of you have ever caught any of my videos, you know I just tend to wax philosophical and waffle for freaking hours on end. And today is no different. So today, although I don't have the Blériot anymore from 2020, we do, in fact, have the Jenny, and that'll do for the purposes of what we're trying to achieve. We are. You know what? We're just going to, without further ado, we are just going to, I think, just take off. And we'll see what we can achieve. Now, can we even get out of here? This is the question. We can but try. Come, Bubba. Yep. Come on, kiddo. Can we do it? We have done it. We are airborne. We're taking off out of Les Barraques, just south of Calais, for the historic flight from Blériot. Not even a recreation, technically speaking. Certainly the wrong time of year, and actually not too different, but yeah. We're taking off, it's around dawn, and we're going to head west. That's what we is going to do. What I wanted to talk about today is we're a kind of special breed, aren't we? Flight simmers. We're part geek, part nerd, part historian, part didact, part pedant, part you name it, with a fair share of real pilots and real people learning to fly and all the rest of it, you know, such as a smattering in the mix. So, on that note, one of the a lot of us came to aircraft. Well, I'm of an age, I remember helicopters still being a thing here in Australia. And it's quite incredible to think that in my lifetime, even I've seen the changes that I've seen, which sounds very old and fuddy-duddy, but where I'm going with all of this is, I had no idea. So there was a movie back in the 1930s, 1936 to be precise, by Alexander Korda, produced the three Korda brothers, Zoltan, Vincent and Alexander. They produced quite a lot of movies. They were kind of bigwig British producers in their day, or expat Hungarian British producers. And they made a movie called Things to Come. In fact, it was based on the novel The Shape of Things to Come by H.G. Wells. I think that was the name of the novel. It was definitely Things to Come. And H.G. Wells actually wrote the screenplay. The movie itself it's a curio, if I'm to be honest. But one of the things that the Korda brothers were really, really good at, just like Ray Harryhausen in the States, who in the 40s, 50s, 60s and 70s created amazing claymation scenes. So think movies like Jason and the Argonauts and Sinbad and the Seven Seas, I think it was, and a whole range of others. So too the Korda brothers were doing this in England in the 1930s. And they made this movie called Things to Come, and in it they used these incredible models, not just land models, but they're futuristic aircraft models. And for all you cats who know and love your aircraft, you might know such aircraft as, I think it was the AS-31 by Airspeed, a 1931 submission, a monoplane, and it looked as though it had a kind of, picture this, a flying wing, not unlike, highly unique really, but think the wing, think Northrop, think the early 1929 Northrop flying wing, but you know what that puppy looks like, and I don't mean to sound arrogant, but you know, for all of you cats interested in your obscure aircraft designs, So, but this thing was like a twin boom, not unlike a P-38 Lightning, but the actual cockpit was a little egg-shaped canopy attached on the rear aerofoil. So it's quite a unique looking aircraft. Never hit the reality as one can easily imagine. But nonetheless, it was a real design by the Airspeed company, famous later for their Oxford and Cambridge and the famous Horsa glider as well, from memory. But so the trouble with what Blériot had, and I'm looking at it, is you really, I know he was working to a compass, but you got no reference. And for all of you cats who have done your real flight, you know that everything is RPAT. So reference, power, attitude, trim. Yeah, RPAT is everything, but the first thing being R for reference. So you can imagine Blériot and these other early pioneers crossing the channel. I forget the British guy. The British guy wanted to be woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Blériot got ahead of him and took off before him in the morning light and just started flying pretty much due west over to Dover from Les Barraques. So where I'm going with all that is I've been meaning to, I used to have it on VHS, for any of you cats who might remember what VHS is. It's the old videotape. And it was things to come. So it fascinated me as a movie because of the models they used. This AS400 and this massive giant, these series of giant flying wings which laid down what was called, I think, the peace gas or gas of peace, whereby they subdued this warlord, and they basically came and modernized, revolutionized, you know, this war-torn environment. It's an interesting flick, like I said, an interesting curious. But we've got a place here in Australia called JB Hi-Fi. Now, I'm not shilling for anything or anybody. I mean, it's just a place where I go to buy my DVDs and Blu-rays, and the reason is, like Amazon.com, is because I still have an extensive collection. I can't rely on streaming for obvious reasons to give me the kind of, what would you call it, intellectual stimulation I so badly need, such as obscure 1930s movies. So I was chuffed to go up today. I was blind buying up at JB Hi-Fi. I often drop in there and have a look. And they had, I've been meaning to buy it many times, Criterion, the famous film archivist crew who released limited series, Blu-rays and all the inherent archival footage along with it to explain movies. They have this wonderful documentary called The Conquest of the Air. Now, I got this Corder Brothers compilation with, I bought it ostensibly for the shape of things. For things to come, because it's, you know, such a remarkable film, and I love these model aircraft. You know, I thought I haven't seen them in about 25-30 years, this movie. I wondered if it still stood up, and curiously it does. It's very cool. But it's actually a 4-movie compilation, and one of them, the first one, is a documentary originally made in 1931 called The Conquest of the Air, but the version on the DVD is actually released in footage. And the reason I know that is because it closes out with a speech by Churchill, and also there are about, as I've learned since, there's actually about 3 or 4 versions of this film, The Conquest of the Air, and I'll leave a link to the Criterion one and also the one up on Amazon, I think it is, or maybe YouTube. I believe it's free up on YouTube if you're interested in it. So I'll remember to leave a link up there for you if you're interested. But it's so freaking cool because it not only covers this flight, and it actually predates that back to the Roman times, Nero. It starts with Nero and it ends with Churchill's speech, because the movie was released. Obviously it was a propagandized version around 1940 with the coming of World War II. But that doesn't make it any less fascinating, and the reason is because there's I'm going to use that dark patch there as my reference. You can call this bad piloting, you can call it what you want, it's my damn simulator, so I'll do whatever the hell I like. But that being said, I really cannot recommend, if you are any part of any of the opening tribes that I mentioned from the outset, the geeks and the aviation lovers, the pilots, the qualified pilots, the pilots in training, the PPL crew, private pilots crew, the modelling crew, film lovers, whatever. I cannot recommend this documentary enough. It's curious, there was a comment, I think, up on IMDb, famous movie archival area, that kind of politicised it by saying, that it shows that the Europeans are jealous of the Americans. It's an interesting, weird thing to say, I think, about what is fundamentally a 1930s documentary, and a very modern lens through which to view that, because America at that point, was pretty isolationist. But I'm not here to discuss the politics of the Roosevelt world, and what that might entail, or what he was up against, and so on and so forth. But from a flight lover's perspective, it's got so much cool footage from the Bristol monoplane, the high altitude testing aircraft, right? Footage from ferry hawkers flying over, hawker demons, that had covertly been given to the Republicans during the Spanish Civil War in 1936. So that's what I mean. So they released the movie in 31. They released a propagandized version, not propagandized necessarily. If it is, it's quite subtle and kind of cool, and arguably with the right intentions. So in 1936, 37, and again in 1940. I don't know if there is a definitive release available on Blu-ray or whatever, so if you do happen to catch it, let me know, and I'll definitely go get it, because I'll definitely be watching it again at some point in the future, if not repeat viewings. And it, you got things like, I think there were Supermarine Stanrays in there. There's certainly the S5, S6. There's just a ton of cool looking aircraft. The Spitz and the Hurricanes, of course. The Bristol Bombay. Was it the Bombay or the Harrow, the Hawker Harrow? Not Hawker Harrow. Who made the Harrow? The Bombay transport aircraft, bomber of the day type thing. Very interesting, very weird, like the Hayford. I don't think there's any footage of the Hayford, if I recall, but certainly throughout that period, those early years, with all the famous, Ginnemer, Richthofen, and all the famous ones listed. And I just thought, what, it's been a long time. I remember taking Blériot from the Barraques over to Dover, and ignominiously crashing it in the fields of Dover somewhere. So hopefully I won't crash this, Jenny. It does look cool against the morning skyline, though, you've got to admit, that's damn pretty. So yeah, it's really, that's all I'm recording this for, is if you haven't seen it and you do love aircraft, and if like me you have what I can only describe as an ambivalent relationship to real flying. I love going for my license, I love when I'm up there. I hate turbulent days, frankly, because anything more than a 10 knot crosswind all the way up to 2,500 feet, frankly, it doesn't scare the bejesus out of me, but it just annoys the crap out of me. So, one of the great myths of modern flying is that it's this wonderful solitary experience, and look, many may still find that. But even with SeaTac, you still find yourself on air and on edge, listening for all the private calls, all the radio calls, and all the local calls. So it's never a relaxing experience, but it is always a phenomenal experience. It's quite incredible, and it's a privilege to be able to fly, obviously. But that being said, it leads to my ambivalence, because I don't necessarily enjoy flying, But I do look forward to the day where I walk away with my PPL, and you know, while you juggle all the other stuff like the outstanding loans for the car and the mortgage and putting food on the table and all those crappy little life things that get in the way of the things we love. But it's obviously we're going substantially faster than Louis Blériot himself was going, but that's part of the joy of it, really, isn't it? It's really part of the blast of this experience. I mean, as I said, the great trick here is getting it down, picking a field and landing it somewhere. And I won't have French supporters on the other side saying land here. So I'll put it down where I put it down. Hopefully I'll get it down safely without too much heartache. So it's just to share with you that weird pop culture moment of I wonder what the corders might have been able to achieve with this simulator. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Sobo crew are phenomenal, and all the people, you heard me say it on every freaking video I've made, all the people who have supported, whether it's aircraft support or freeware or, you know, even all the great payware we've got available and so on. But the imagination from the people in the 30s was phenomenal. You'll have heard me mention in the past, if you've ever watched any of the crap I've come out with, things like the, I think it's the M35 or the B39 from the Miles brothers, Edward Miles, the Libellula, and the, I think it was a 3/5 bomber that they built. So, you know, they were both canards, one was a bomber and one was a fighter. Both made, both tested, both truly pissed off the air ministry, so that they were both grounded before they really got a look in. They kind of carried interest for a while, but I think one got blown over in a strong breeze, so that put pay to that project, and the air ministry never took them up on it because the Miles brothers were hard work, according to the air ministry. But yeah, it's conquest of the air for it. If I forget to put links down below, do go and check it out if you love your planes. It's quite comical. It's even got a young Larry Olivier, Sir Laurence Olivier, as Vincent Lenardi. So it's got the Montgolfier brothers. It's got all these kind of vignettes and montages, and then it morphs into the real life footage, especially with the coming of the camera, you know, the 20th century. World War I aerial dogfights, the Zeppelin, including something you don't often see is the famous Lakehurst disaster of the Zeppelin in its entirety. How quickly this damn thing burned. It's extraordinary. It is absolutely simultaneously heartbreaking and extraordinary. But that being said, it's really a joy to watch. It's a curio as a film lover, but as a flight lover and a simulator lover, it is. I venture to say it's kind of mandatory in a way, because it rekindles or kindles that spark that probably draws us all to the sim in the first place. Unfortunately, the prohibitive cost of flying then, as now, stops everybody from doing it. Not the least of which are the inherent dangers on like driving on the road, where you're playing with 3D space. But that being said, it's it's something that we can partake of through this medium, the game or the simulator, and cinema at large, perhaps, for lack of a better way of putting it. But yeah, it's got cool footage, obscure aircraft, footage of obscure aircraft, really delightful, truly delightful stuff, and it's absolutely. I think it's going to be worth your time. I think it only runs for a little over an hour or something, maybe an hour and 13 minutes or something. So like any doco, not quite short even by documentary standards, but definitely worth your while. So we'll grab the postcard. We're still a ways offshore, but it's been fun. I mean, something as simple as this critical flight. I don't know if it's recreation or actual footage of the Wright brothers flight. I believe it's actual footage, maybe, or certainly damn good recreation footage. The other thing about the DVD version is it's been remastered, so it's quite crisp, the footage, which is kind of disconcerting knowing that the footage is 120 years old. It's yeah, very, very odd, but also truly, I'm truly grateful for it. I genuinely think, how freaking cool is that? Other movies that I can highly recommend if you're still with me, of course, you know, Howard Hughes film from originally I think 26, 27, and then finalised around 29, and then withheld from release because talkies have been introduced, so he recut the whole thing with talkie, with voiceover, or with voice, and whole new actors, because for anyone who's ever seen The Aviator, Scorsese's movie, you'll understand why. Or The Amazing Mr. Hughes with Tommy Lee Jones from 1976, I think. So yeah, you'll understand why. But you know, Wings is another one. Wings was, I think, the first Oscar winner, or the first to be granted best film from the Academy or something, 1926 from memory. Yes, I'm a film junkie. Just as I imagine many of you cats might be. But it's so many great scenes. One of the things about Howard Hughes' movie, Hell's Angels, yeah, that's where the bikers get their name from, etc., etc. But one of the cool things about it is the juxtaposition of early coloured footage, colorized footage. It's kind of, especially it's for the battle sequences to give this stark reality of the terror of what pilots in World War I endured. So absolutely removing that romance, and of course the great tragedy is that from memory, quite a number of pilots, stunt pilots, lost their lives, and Howard Hughes himself damaged himself really badly in the making, because he took the planes up himself. You know, in the making of the film. But Hell's Angels is definitely worth a watch. Actually, I'd argue must own for any aircraft lover, any plane lover, or any aviation lover. And the other movie, Wings, both available now, I believe, on Blu-ray. I've got Wings on Blu-ray. I don't know about Hell's Angels. Should be. Again, I can imagine that will be Criterion. But yeah, Conquest of the Air is surprisingly freaking cool. It is. I'm just gobsmacked that they had footage of so many of these cool aircraft. Balboa with the Savoia Marchetti SM-55. Some super cool aircraft from around the world. None from again, since the movie was as far as I know, the last version was released in 1940. It's amazing how overlooked the Japanese were. You know, because they'd been using them. They'd been helping pioneer close, you know, combined arms support, CAS, throughout, you know, the heartache of China. So yeah, just you know. But that being said, there's enough American and European stuff to keep everybody fascinated, I think. Certainly, like I said, I'm glad I got it in the collection now, and it was a real delight to discover it. I just, you know, to the point where I couldn't wait to get on and blab on about it. So here I am blabbing on about it. Before we come into the White Cliffs of Dover, I will refrain from was it a Racy Fields song? Anyway, less said about that the better. Nonetheless, this is where it came in, and we're just going to have a look from nearest town and imagine that there's going to be some supporters waiting for us, which will be very nice indeed. I hope the year has started well for you. I hope you are doing okay, and I hope that 2025, as I've said the other day, offers up many fine things for all of you, for each and every one of you. And I hope the same for myself. Because I'm a selfish bastard like that. and I think we could all use a break, as I said the other day as well. So, what else? That's about it really. Other than the fact I truly am looking forward to some of these early pioneering aircraft in 2025 in this simulator, because as all the wags are saying, it's really a walking simulator with aeroplanes, which I find super cool. So the best of both worlds is to either grab a Chieva auto gyro. I know they've got the money out there, but oh yeah, that's the other cool. They've even got stuff like in the doco. They've even got the I think it's the FW81, the Fokker-Gels. I think I'm pretty sure it was the Fokker-Wulf project 81, which is the one that what's the name? Reich flew into the 1936 stadium, the Deutsche Halle Stadium. That twin prop with the outriggers, the Fokker-Wulf, basically essentially little Stieglitz of Fokker-Wulf Stieglitz with the front prop taken off, and again, truly cool to watch. So yeah, I do urge you all to give it a look in, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it if you've already seen it. Looks a little bizarre, doesn't it? There we go, it's a little crusty. We'll stick to this side where we can maintain the illusion of joy. Put it down. It looks like we've come in dead on Dover, which I've got to admit I'm a bit chuffed with. I really never intended that, but you know, it's an added bonus really. Now again, the key is getting this puppy down safely in such a manner that we can walk away from it. So I'm going to imagine I can hear the cheers of the madding throng going. Actually, I should get a postcard of that moment. There we go. Why not just put it down there? Why not? Because it's really bloody on level. It's really not at all level. So, there's a lot of trees. Look, I think we're just going to have to go for a farm, or a stretch of farm, pretty much like Les Barraques, where we took off. And this looks as good as any joint, I imagine. Or should we? Can we? Probably not. I'm venturing to say not. Look, let's. Why not? We're doing a right hand landing to bring her in on the pattern. It's going to be rough as guts, but you know what? Simulator. What do we care? Let's take her out for once more over the. I love the white cliffs. We'll swing it from there. Now, is that, well, it's a bit bumpy, isn't it? Yeah. You know what? Why not? Opportunity being what opportunity is. Let's see if we can just plunk her down right here. And we'll have done with it. And that way you won't have to listen to my brain bloody tones. Oh. Oh, fantastic. Well, I shouldn't speak too soon, should I really? A bit of a bounce, is it? Yeah, massive bounce actually. Shocking flying line. But
I think you could do better than that.
I agree. I concur completely, mate. Isn't that true every time though? Really, isn't that the point of doing what we do? And besides, we're down. We're down. I'm going to put the handbrake which didn't exist. And I'm going to hook down. Let's do it. Let's take one look. We have set foot. Oh, it's rolling backwards, is it? No. All good. There we go. Modern lorry to kind of break up the illusion, but it ain't a Blériot, but it will do. Look, thank you, big beautiful world, for letting me do me. As I said, I say without word of jest, I do hope you do catch up on the doco and the other shit I've referenced. So if you're into all that stuff, oh, look at that, you even get weeds. Check this out, you even get bloody dandelion, or burdock, or whatever the hell it is. So cool. Or it could even be an illicit substance. Look, let's call quits on that conversation whilst we're ahead. Thanks, big beautiful world. Catch you later. Bye.